Hey, welcome back, and thanks for tuning in to Recruiting Insight. This is the place to be if you want to connect with the most successful leaders, hiring managers, and innovators in the real estate industry. Hey, it's a great day to recruit, and thanks for joining us as we kick off the summer season to the Recruiting Insight podcast. Our theme this season is going to be, how did you do it? And we're going to be talking to leaders who have developed and executed a compelling recruiting strategy that really worked. Now this week, we're going to be talking to Carol Bulman. Carol is the CEO of Jack Conway, one of the most prominent real estate companies in the Boston metro area. And under Carol's leadership, Jack Conway has grown into a regional powerhouse with 19 offices stretching from the North Shore of Boston all the way out to Cape Cod. With just under 700 agents, Carol is no stranger to recruiting. She's a fierce competitor and fights for every agent that she and her team brings into the company. But what I admire most about her is her ability to pivot and change course when things aren't working and changes needed to be made in order to survive. You're going to love her story, so let's get started. Well, Carol, thank you so much for being with us today. Are super excited about having you on the podcast and having you talk to our listeners about a great turnaround that you've really done over the last 18, 24 months. And not only did a turnaround from a recruiting perspective, but I'm able to sustain those results going into 2024. So, but before we get there, can you tell us a little about, just introduce yourself to our listeners, a little about yourself and about your company?
Absolutely. Thank you, Ben. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. I am the CEO, broker owner of Jack Conway. We are an independently owned residential and commercial brokerage here in Massachusetts. We have 19 locations. We also serve southern New Hampshire and all of Rhode Island for those 19 offices. We are a full service real estate company. We have just under 700 sales agents. We offer title, mortgage, insurance, staging services, and also we have a real estate license school. I am a second generation owner. My father, Jack Conway, started the company in 1956. And I'm very fortunate that 3 of my 4 children are continuing the legacy and work with me here at Jack Conway. And we're committed to remaining independent and offering a great value here in Massachusetts and beyond.
Yeah. Well, with a company that big, of course, you know something about recruiting. You don't get to that level without having to do that. And so in recent years, how do you feel that recruiting has changed? Has it become more difficult? And if so, why do you think it has been this way?
Recruiting always has had to be a really critical part of what we do at Conway. And, you know, real estate business being what it is, it can be very cyclical. It's a very difficult business. Sometimes people come into the business as a new agent and have really not a full understanding of what's involved. And as we all know, that there's a lot involved in being successful in this business. And it takes a certain amount of grit and focus and strategy. And so as a result, we do have fallout, especially with the agents that are on the newer side that join the business and realize that it might not be for them. You know, I'm notwithstanding great training and all the support that they need. On the other side of things, we have the fallout having to do with experienced agents. And that has become much more competitive as far as the recruiting of experienced agents. And we have to respond to that. So yes, recruiting is a really important part of what we do. And but it has changed over the years.
Okay. So some of the changes, I'm guessing, especially on the experienced agent side, have a little bit to do with model, right? So there seems to be a new real estate model that comes out about once a month now. And the whole dynamic has changed quite a bit over the last, let's say, 10 years, particularly. So how are you dealing with it? You kind of, since you've been around so long and then you've been established in your marketplace for many, many years, how has your model changed, or how have you responded to what's going on from a model perspective?
You know, that question is so important because from a recruiting standpoint and even from a retention standpoint, being a company that has been around since 1956 can be a little bit of a double-edged sword. Because, you know, I remember listening to Brian Boero from 1000 Watt a number of years ago. It was right before we did our rebrand, actually. And, we talked about that agents do like to be, they're attracted by the new things, the cool kids in the market, if you will. And so as a traditional real estate company, we have to be able to be committed to who we are. Because we have a certain standard of traditions here at Conway. Many of them were established by my dad and his team members many, many years ago. But we do need to always be cutting edge when it comes to technology, marketing, training, etc. We did go through a rebrand several years back, and it was honestly one of the most exciting things that we've done. And I think that has made a big difference because we now represent to a potential recruit and an agent who works with us is an established company that is strong and has a great foundation, but we're still committed to the future and we're committed to moving forward.
So there's a place in the marketplace for your type of company, for your type of brand, for and there's definitely something to be attracted to that is going to be there for the right agents. So how do you feel that on the agent side, you've seen agents come and go for many years. What's been changing both on the new agent and experienced agent? What's the nature of the agent and how that's changed in the last few years?
I do think there's been a lot of change in the last few years. And with you mentioned earlier about new models coming in, when there have been a lot of new models that have come into the market. Now that does happen over the years, and there's always been new models coming in that have different type of value propositions. But over the last few years, I see that as a larger not threat, but a challenge for us than it has been in the past. So we're very much committed to who we are, and we're not going to be the company for every single agent, nor do we want every single agent. There's a certain level of quality and commitment that we want here at Jack Conway. But to compete against some of the changing in the models, it has been tricky. I think what has changed the most is the huge increase in signing bonuses and marketing plans, very high splits. What I do know is people do not leave our company or come to us because of a high split or a marketing bonus, but it could be the tipping point. It could be that thing that after they've been, frustrated about something for a number of months that could put them over the top. So both on the receiving end and the disassociation end. So I do think there's higher competition. Things have changed in the industry. And I think the current environment might level the playing field a bit.
Okay. Well, let's swing back on that in a few minutes because I definitely want to talk about some of the NAR settlements and how that would affect things. Before we get there, I wanted to have you tell the listeners a little bit more about the kind of the turnaround that you and I kind of went through together. They really started in 2022, a little bit like your rebrand. It was hey, we're going to focus on this. We're really going to get better at this piece of our business. You put your shoulder behind it, got a lot of your management team behind it, of course, but could you tell us a little about how are things going in 2022 as we started this turnaround?
Yes, that was a pivotal point in our change. In fact, I was introduced to you, Ben, by a member of Brainstormers, which is a group that our company belongs to, a number of independents across the United States that get together a couple of times a year, by Mike Hickman down at Southern Gables in California. And he had talked about the benefit of your coaching program. And we had gone through a couple of years of higher disassociation rates than we generally had, and difficulty in increasing our percentage of experienced agent recruiting. So historically, our recruiting was maybe 90-10, 80-20 new agents. We'll talk about our license school in a minute, but we have a real estate license school that really, pushes agents in through our system. We have a great training program. So what I had seen over the last number of years with the climate changing, as we said, competition much more severe, is that we needed to up our game on the experienced agent recruiting side. Now, that's a whole mindset change. And our managers, we have office managers in each one of our offices. That's a big part of who we are, and our value proposition is that local support. And they're busy. You know, they're working on transactions. They're very good at what they do. They're training. They're out in the communities, et cetera. And they were doing fabulously with bringing in new agents. But for the experienced agent recruiting, what I learned, and a lot of this I learned from you and your program, is it's a very deliberate program. It's a strategy that you've got to follow every single day and measure and hold accountable, both personally and to each other. And so we learned that. So like I said, I was introduced to you by my Hickman at the time, looked into your program. I loved the idea of the coaching, because I felt that we as a leadership team, and I include myself, because as you know, I also went through the coaching with you, Ben, and we needed a mindset change. And it wasn't easy and it's still not easy to recruit experienced agents. It's a very long process. It takes patience, diligence, it takes skill. It takes a very thick skin sometimes, and we're all going through it together. So going back to the beginning of 2022, that was a big shift, is working with co-recruit, going through the coaching. Most of our managers, and I say most, it was all of our managers at the time. We have a couple newer people right now who have not gone through coaching. And that really helped us. So it leveled the playing field for all of us. We were all in it together. We also set up accountability groups. I have Janet Pistoni, one of my best recruiters. She also helps all her fellow managers in her capacity with recruiting. So she and I split our managers up, and we held weekly check-in calls, Zoom check-in calls with the managers. And, you know, we just shared best practices, shared about things that we learned from coaching, who are the people we're working on, how can we help each other. So it was really, you know, we call them accountability groups, but it was really about checking in and helping each other. And some weeks we have good weeks, and some weeks we had not so great weeks, and we were all in it together. So that was sort of the beginning of a shift.
So just as a baseline, in 2022, one of the metrics we have that we track and we encourage you to track is how much experienced agent recruiting production do you bring into the company? So how much production did you bring in 2022? Do you remember?
Yes, I remember. It was 21 million in sales.
Okay.
For experienced agents.
Okay, and then you went through coaching. You did your accountability groups. You really executed. We started that in late 2022, and then really we're firing on all cylinders. Had the pipeline full, kind of going in 2023. What were your results at the end of 2023?
We finished the year at 139 million in experience agent recruiting, which included 2 small walkovers, which happened as a result of our recruiting.
Yeah. That's that. So that type of growth, I mean, that's a remarkable growth. There's 7-8 times of the type of production that you've had before, and so obviously that mindset set in. You executed consistently and continued to execute consistently throughout 2023, and of course those are remarkable results. So as you implemented all this, and by the way, congratulations, that's amazing, and I know you've built on that here even in the first quarter here in 2024, but as you implemented this, I think one of the things that a lot of owners who are individuals that are in your position, you know, they're going to get resistance from the organization, from managers, this is, you said it perfectly, this is hard work. And this is something that there's a lot of proactive involvement with a very low amount of positive feedback, or even a bunch of negative feedback that comes along, right? So how did you handle that? How did you handle the resistance that was just had to come?
So first of all, it's a huge team effort. So I thank you for that compliment, but the compliment is shared by so many people, because I'm really proud of our leadership team. Our management team in particular jumped right on. And, we talked about resistance. I'm going to get back to that. But also our marketing team was a big part of it too, because we did a lot more marketing surrounding, very specific to recruiting, changed our mindset there. We did a lot of training and education around recruiting, and we get into that in a moment as well. But as far as resistance, I would say it was more about lack of confidence or maybe lack of comfort. Because again, it's not a natural part of a manager's duties. A manager needs to step out of that constant barrage of questions and transactional type of activities and emails and text messages, and be very purposeful in their actions. It takes setting time aside, time blocking, keeping track of the phone calls they make, and then keeping track of the conversations they have, the appointments they have, and this is what we all learned, and then ultimately the appointments they have, and hopefully the hires they have. So you have all these pieces right along the way, squeezed into a day that is very transactional. And, it's pulling the manager and me and all the team members that were involved in this out of the whirlwind of the daily events and doing this very on purpose activity that we probably won't get any results for months, maybe years from now. So the resistance was, like I said, more about mindset and getting used to things. It's still hard. And that's why the accountability groups are really good, because we get together weekly and, we admit to all of each other that this is hard. I call it a slog. You guys gotta go through it, because guess what? If you do the work and you're getting the phone calls back, and most importantly, you're getting the appointments, you will have the hires eventually. So now we have a number of success stories that show that. And we talk a lot about our success stories, and that really helps kind of rejuvenate a manager if they might be feeling a little discouraged, or if I'm feeling discouraged. We all get discouraged by this process.
So one of the ways that we in coaching we talk about this, we talk about a manager doing problem solving, which is really what they do most of the day, and then there's parallel to that, there's growth activities. Right, so we can't. The problem-solving stuff will take up your whole day if you let it. Right, I mean, it's like a Boyle's law. The gas inside of a jar is going to expand as far as that jar is. So unless we actually compartmentalize some of that growth activities off, it's never going to happen. And I think we saw that with your group, that once they started partitioning off those time blocks, being held accountable to those time blocks, and saying, hey, you don't have to do this all day. You just have to do it 30 minutes a day. If we can focus on this for 30 minutes a day, we really can accomplish a lot, which is, I think, what you proved.
Yeah, and that's true. And the other thing too is getting our managers and all the people that are involved in recruiting to, most all of our managers are past realtors, full-time realtors, just still doing some real estate. And if they treat recruiting like they do their business, so if you're farming an area, that it's all about actions and methodical actions to reach a goal. So again, that mind shift is important as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's get philosophical for a minute here. Of course, the NAR settlements have happened. There's a lot of disruption in the marketplace right now. I think there is a large group of agents that are going to struggle in the next 6-9 months trying to make this transition. A lot of new agents, of course, work with buyers. That's going to become perhaps more challenging and for sure different than has been up to this point. The whole framework seems to be kind of shifting underneath of them. Experienced agents, same. Obviously, if you're doing listings, you're a little more protected. But if you're not, so how are you coaching your agents right now? Your managers? How does this affect recruiting as well? All is happening.
Yeah, this is a big deal, right? It's a big deal in our industry. It's one of those pivotal times in our industry that leadership is so important. I liken it to that scenario when you're on a flight somewhere and you hit some turbulence and you look up to see how the flight attendant is responding. And if they look calm, then you're gonna be calmer. So our job as leaders is so critical right now, whether you're the CEO, the manager, or department head. So important to kind of stay focused and keep this all, in the day, if you will, not get too far ahead of ourselves, especially with this particular topic, because we don't have all the answers and nobody likes to live in that world. And, salespeople, realtors are no different than any other human being. No one likes to live in uncertainty. So how does that relate to our recruitment efforts and retention efforts? It's a big part of it right now, because if we can, again, be very purposeful in our training, our communication, our education about what we know about the events that are unfolding, but also what we don't know, and provide some calm and confidence that helps our agents that work with us. When we're training new agents, brand new agents, this is all they're going to know. So we're training on the new world as best as we possibly can in our training programs right now. So they, to me, I think will even be much better agents because of it. And then finally, for recruiting, many of our conversations, especially on some of the smaller companies, the mom and pops, if you will, there's a lot of fear out there, and very understandable. We're all feeling it. And if we can provide a place that provides some confidence and information and a bit of a foundation in kind of a crazy world, I think that will really help us, and it already has helped us in our recruiting. I think it's going to be a little bit slower. I think the process, and I've noticed the pipeline moves a little bit at a slower pace than it was last year. And I attribute that a bit to the changes, because I think people are trying to get their feet under them and try to figure out, what's going on? How is my company going to respond? How am I going to respond? Is the grass really greener right now or not? So agents have a lot of decisions to make. And we would like to be part of the solution. And in our recruiting efforts, that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah. So one of the things we talk about in coaching quite a bit, and you probably remember this, is each manager has their agents in their office that they're leading and they're providing support to and everything. And we'd always encourage you to have another circle of competitive agents that you're pseudo managing, right? So in this case, it just seems like with what's going on, that's more important than ever to have if you have 50 agents in your office, another 50 that are looking to you as a leader in the marketplace, as a place that I know I can get information from. I know I can and have that calm that we're talking about, that leadership that I'm looking at Carol and she's not freaking out. Okay, that's good. Now again, we aren't going to get all 50 of those, but that strategy of being a leader inside the market seems like it's more relevant now than it ever would be.
Absolutely. And one of the things that we did last year, and Ben, you're aware of this, is we rolled out a program called CE and Charcuterie. So we offer CE classes, and then we offer wine and cheese afterwards. So that really attracts agents. It not only attracts outside agents, and that's one of our goals, but it gets our agents together too. It's another way for us to connect. And during turbulent times, we need to connect in person even more. It's more of a challenge, and not a challenge, but more of a need. So about 20% of the attendees of that CE Charcuterie that we offer, and we offer it almost monthly in different parts of our company, some smaller groups and larger groups, depending on how much space we have. And it's really taken off as something that really works for us in our industry. So about 20% of the people that attend are outside agents, and they've gotten used to the fact that we offer this program, and they're getting used to our culture, and they understand, who we are and who our leadership are and what our message. So we're utilizing that time and going very strong on some of the topics that are important right now. Fair housing, really, really critical right now. Buyer's agency, we've offered that CE class probably 5 or 6 times over the last year. So we're trying to be as topical as possible, because during those CE classes, yes, we have the instructional part of it, but then a member of leadership, either myself or our president, Al Becker, we will get up there and share some of our views about some of these topics and answer questions. So that's a way for us to share with our own community and also the outer community that, this is how Jack Conway is handling this challenge, if you will.
Yeah, and I think that's just it's just the manifestation of just what we talked about. I mean, of that principle, right, of reaching out to those beyond. So we have a few minutes left in our discussion. Did want to talk just briefly about new agents. So certainly with you historically have hired a lot of new agents, and so and you've expanded now with experienced agents. With the new agent side of things, I think there is going to be a new type of person that's going to be coming into this industry. We saw that, you and I both been around long enough to see the 2007, 2008. There was a whole different breed of new person that came in during that time. Many of them are big time team leaders now, and they really had to cut their teeth during some really difficult times. So are you seeing that? And then secondly, how are you approaching new agent recruiting here in the next year or two?
So new agent recruiting, backing up a little bit. The other thing that we layered on, and we have a number of sources for our recruiting, is the third pool opportunity through Co-Recruit. And third pool is basically a texting with a really fabulous recruiter, Lee Gray, who works with all of you. And it's a marketing program. It's pushing out to people that maybe we can't reach in our own marketing. That has resulted in about 24 new agents last year coming to Conway. Now, we track their success. So we have the third pool piece. We have Jack Conway License School. And then we have our website, jackconway.com, where new agents will often find us through their Google activities. So we had the year we had last year. And it was a group effort. We were really pleased about it. We wanted to replicate it again this year. And one of the things we decided to do is we hired a recruiter. And that person came out of one of our offices, and that was a tip that was shared with me by a company owner. And utilize someone that already loves Conway and is a great salesperson and understands realtors. And so we hired this woman out of one of our offices named Nancy Lamoth. She's absolutely dynamite. She's been with us about 6 months now. And so she's layering on all of the principles that we are talking about. What's great is we've got the Co-Recruit coaching, we have third pool, we have our own jc.com, we have license school. We've now layered on Talent Scout, which is brand new. And although we have had 4 appointments so far on that, which is great. And she's overseeing the whole piece. So she works with me very, very closely. And we work on potential agents, potential opportunities. And she has now taken over the oversight of the license school. Such an important part of what we do, because we're doing it anyway. We want to make sure that we're staying connected. She follows these people all the way through the license school, make sure they get licensed. We have a lot of challenges and delays here in Massachusetts in licensing. So she works very closely on that. We're very open right in the very beginning about the changes in the industry with our potential new licensees. And I really, I tend to be a half glass full kind of person, but I do think we're getting better agents. I really do. I think people understand, they're very much engaged. And I see the license school actually growing under her leadership and really making those connections early on. The license school has been a huge feeder for us, and we love homegrown Jack Conway agents. So we want a combination. We're now about 60-40 experience and new, and that's a really good combination, and it works really well with our agents and our offices.
No, I love that. I love that transition and then the balance that you're looking for and really being able to put your mind behind it and have a vision and then make it happen. That's really what this is about, and it's cool, really cool to see. Final question is, you have a lot of listeners that aren't at your stage where they've been at this a while. They're starting new teams, they're starting new offices. Maybe they have 10 agents in their office right now. If you were back to your dad's situation where you were starting the company for the first time, or you had that first office and it had 10 agents in it, what would you be doing right now? What would you be as far as recruiting?
I would not be leaving the recruiting to everybody else. And I think that was, for me, for mindset, it was really important for me to understand what a challenge this is for the people that recruit for our company. We are a traditional model. We love agents that are brought in because the relationship a manager has with the person in their town or their city or their community. To me, that's the stickiest agents. Those are the people going to stick around a lot longer. So we want the recruiting to stay local. Some of the best recruiting happens with those relationships, also tapping into our agents' recommendations. But my involvement, our leadership involvement, has brought it to a level where I can help them. I can help the manager at a certain stage. We can talk it through. We can talk through offers. We can talk through what might be their pain point. So I think it's opened up the conversation a bit more. I think I have a better understanding of the challenges behind recruiting. We also have shifted our communication around recruiting, in that we have a lot of excellent reporting that come out of our finance department. We have a report in particular, it's an attrition report. So it shows your company dollar, your ups and downs, comparing people that have joined versus people that have left in sort of a rolling 12 and 24. That's our report card. That's the whole thing. Because yes, it's about recruiting, but it's also about retaining. It's where are we? Is our nose above the water, or are we sinking? So those types of tools are really important. So what I would do is I would have gotten involved a little sooner. And I think layering on different sources. We can't rely on our managers to fit the whole bill. We just can't. It's too much, and it's become too hard. So to be able to provide our managers different types of resources, whether it be coaching, leads, accountability, the license school, recruiters, all those different things, it all comes out together. We're all stronger because of it.
Yeah. Well, it's great takeaways from today's session. I know many people are going to benefit from this. So thank you for sharing your experience, and I'm looking forward to hearing about more of the successes you're going to have this year, getting through those the whatever chaos and difficulties ahead. And I love let's keep our nose above the water. That's key. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ben.
You're welcome. For all those that are doing the hard work of recruiting each day, hopefully you'll take what you learned and go make a difference.